And hello, I'm Dave Wagner. Welcome to another episode of
Come On Down
with Rich Fields right here.
Yeah, the dude.
Yep, the dude, Dave the dude. This is a podcast where we talk about all kinds of things. You know, Rich was the announcer on The Price is Right for how many years?
6 years, 7 seasons.
And then a bunch of other shows as well.
Yeah, 8 other game shows. 7 other network. Won the Florida Lottery's Flamingo Fortune with the Goodson Company. Mm-hmm. The Florida Lottery's Flamingo Fortune. Yeah.
Well, that's great. And so we talk about his time in Hollywood. We talk about all game shows, not just The Price is Right, because Rich has been involved in a number of others. Plus, he's an aficionado on this, as are many of you. We don't know all the answers. Sometimes we get a little stumped by it.
Right.
And that's where we rely on you. And we hope that you will keep things coming.
Right.
We do want to say that...
We love the corrections.
We love the corrections. We love the questions. We love all the comments. So please keep those coming. You're wearing some Price is Right. How much swag do you have?
A lot. So I thought I would just ease you into like every week with something else. Yeah.
Yes.
Remember I told you every Christmas they gave us something?
Yes, I do remember that.
And so this was another Christmas. I have a couple of these. I think Mr. Barker gave me his. I think Roger might have given me one. Or if not Roger, Doug Quick, one of the stage managers. Yeah. Plus I got one.
Do you wear these around anymore?
No.
No.
Certainly not in Florida.
Right.
Maybe when it's very cold, but I think I got back to Florida in 2016, and no, I haven't. I haven't worn any. No.
You're not the only person who likes to wear this kind of swag. There are people out there who, sort of create their own swag or their own kind of Price is Right, memorabilia. Yeah,
they do. And as a matter of fact, we're going to have an update from the guy, what's his name?
David Franciosa.
David Franciosa. You guys may remember he started to make a Rod Roddy sequin jacket. Mm-hmm. Dave was wearing one of Rod's jackets.
Yes, I was.
And it inspired David, the viewer, to make his own jacket.
I love this.
So we're going to give you a little update on that coming up in a little bit. Also, we've got details on contestant casting for Let's Make a Deal.
That's awesome. How do you do that?
Huh?
We were going to talk about
We'll get to that, yeah.
Okay.
We'll get to that here in a little bit.
And then some viewer questions.
If we have time, yeah.
If we have time, yeah. I want to talk a little bit, if I can. I give you a hard time about how you began. You began all this, with a life of crime. You were a little kid and you were crazy about The Price is Right, and you pretended to do the announcing of it, but you got serious, more serious about it. And your dad led you down this dark, dangerous path when you were 18 years old, where you guys broke into CBS, right? CBS Television City in Hollywood.
Yeah.
And that was an amazing story.
Yeah. But I was 18 at the time.
Right. There was a podcast viewer who said that you not only broke into CBS Television City in Hollywood with your dad when you were 18, but you did this again, and I think I can't imagine.
Yeah.
Okay, I would think you have learned your lesson. So tell me
what you did. You saw a post on Facebook, and I was responding to a guy, and I said, I know I told the story about my dad sneaking into the Price is Right studios, Jason, but have I ever talked about the second time I broke into CBS, and I still wasn't an employee there yet, and you'll never guess who I brought with me. So yeah, I broke in a second time.
Okay.
I know, it's insane.
Okay, so I want to get to who you took with you in the Porsche.
Okay, well, I took my wife with me.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
What is wrong with you? This is a person, an angelic human being, and what did you do to her?
So,
this is wrong.
Well, we were on vacation. I think we were still living here in Florida at the time. And
was she your wife at the time? Or
no,
you guys dating?
No, we were dating, and she'd never been to Los Angeles. So we went out there, and among other things that we did, we happened to be outside of CBS, and I said, that gate down at the end there, that's where my dad and I broke in. Come here.
Oh yeah, here goes the muscle memory kicking in.
And she was like, what are you doing? And so we broke in. We broke in a second time, and I dragged her.
Did you use the same technique?
Yeah, pretty much.
Oh my gosh.
Pretty much. Yeah. It's hard to believe, I know. But it happened. It's true. It's I mean, it's kind of cool, actually.
Is it? Is it really, Rich?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Don't you think so? CBS doesn't think so. I know that.
No, this guy gets a thrill out of committing crime. Okay. Okay, first of all,
Yeah.
I find this a little hard to believe.
You think I just made this up?
Well,
because the first story was so good.
The first story was amazing. This story, I mean, honestly, I would have thought you would have learned from this.
No.
Okay. I don't know if she's available, but could we call Christine?
Call her right now?
Yeah, call her. Just
Yeah,
give her a call.
we'll see if she's home. We maybe just be wasting time. She could be out shopping or
We
something.
should definitely give her a call. See if I just want to verify some facts here, and I also
right.
want to find out
Hang on a
how
second.
this wonderful, angelic human being, if this is true, could be dragged into something. I mean, you guys were not even. You were not married.
No, we're not married.
You were
yet.
dating.
No, yeah, we were just
Quite a
dating.
date, all right.
You're gonna have to hear her. You're gonna have to put your IFB in if you haven't already.
Yeah, did.
Let me get this phone here. She might be out shopping or something, or with the dogs.
Who knows? I hope she's there.
Hello?
Christine, it's Dave. How are you?
Hey, Dave. I'm okay. How are you?
Hey, I'm doing fine. Thanks. Hey, I'm here with Rich. And so Rich talked about you guys breaking into CBS Television City. Based upon Rich's previous admission of being a breaking and entering felon, I'm not sure what to believe here. So what is your version of this?
Well, I don't know if we call it a break-in. Maybe more of like a walk-in. We actually did do that, Dave. I'm not proud to say, but we did. But it was fun.
So what happened? What did you do? How did you get in? And just describe the circumstances.
Well, we were there for vacation. This was actually my first trip to LA ever. Because when Rich and I met, we were down here in Florida. And so he talked a lot about Los Angeles. And so he says, I want to take you out there. So we were actually on a vacation. And he had told me, obviously, the story of The Price is Right. Well, first off, he told me he wanted to be a game show host, or he wanted to work in game shows. And his biggest dream was to work with Bob Barker on The Price is Right. So I wasn't a big game show fan, but, whatever. At least he had a goal, But he said, I'm going to take you out there one day. So we went on this vacation, and we were just kind of doing all the tourist stuff. We went to the farmer's market in the Grove there on 3rd Street, and we stopped in, I think we were at, there's a place called Wood Ranch there, and we stopped in there and had lunch, and might have had a liquid lunch, which is probably why I was more willing to go along with this. But we were just taking pictures and stuff, and we had walked out of Wood Ranch, which is the street that the restaurant sits on. If you walk to the end of it, it dead ends to the CBS lot, and there's like a gate there that if you work there, it's carded and you can go through. And this is where he started telling me, this is where me and my dad broke in and went through here. So I was laughing about it. He says, come here, I want to show you. So, I kind of went over there just thinking we were just going to go look and see, and he was going to tell me about it. So we walk up to the gate, and he actually buzzes it, and he tells the guy, hey, my card's not working. Can you let us in? And buzz, he lets us in, And Rich just kind of ushers me through real fast, and next thing I know, we're like walking up the lot. We're walking up the big ramp. He's walking through here like he lives here and has been here a million times, So we walk by the CBS commissarea, and we walk in these big, long hallways, and sure enough, all of a sudden I'm seeing prize games and props and all this Price is Right memorabilia sitting out there. And there's like hardly nobody there. So we're just like walking through these hallways, and there's nobody there saying anything to us. So we're just taking our own little tour, walking through there. So we start taking pictures in front of prizes, which is like, pretend like you're one of the models, and I'm like standing in front of stuff, doing little poses, and it was really funny. It was a lot of fun.
You would think that they would have learned from Rich's last breaking and entering to provide more security.
I'm
think
telling
they would
you.
have had a mugshot of him or something
You
there
think.
to prevent this from ever happening again.
He walked through there, Dave, like he owned the place. He knew exactly where he was going. There was this one little door. He says, come here, I want to show you something. And we walked through this little door that I now know from being there hundreds of times during his tenure there. That was the hallway that was Bob Barker's dressing room, and eventually his dressing room right across the hall. So we open this door, and we go down this little hallway and through this other door, and then we're on this big these big elephant doors are there, and I'm looking out at the audience, the empty seats where the audience would sit, and we're actually standing on the Price is Right stage. And I'm just amazed, It was just so.
That is amazing.
It was unreal, Dave. It was like so surreal walking through there. And we walked all through that place. We walked all the way down at the end of this big hallway. And it's kind of dark down on that end, but I looked up and all of a sudden there's the Hollywood Squares. The big, where all the 3-level thing with the X's, it's all sitting there because I guess they did Hollywood Squares on Studio 33-2 stage, so all of those props were there too.
You seem like such a nice, honest, law-abiding person. Why did you go along with this?
You know what? I think it might have been the liquid lunch. It just seemed kind of innocent, We walked in there, and I thought, honestly, Dave, I thought for sure, okay, we're on the lot. We're not going to get in the building. They're not going to let us in the building, but there was nobody there. It was just like we just walked through, and the few people we did pass didn't give us a second look. But
were you nervous about it?
It doesn't seem like I was. I think now I would be. But it was just kind of like a fun adventure. We were on vacation. It was just kind of fun. And it was really cool to see all these. I wasn't a huge game show fan, but when you're there and you're seeing it all in person, of course, obviously I'd seen The Price is Right and watched it before, but I wasn't the crazy, fan that he was. But it was cool seeing all the prizes and everything that you see and the difference that it looks like in person than, what it actually does on TV. But it just was really crazy, and we were giggling thinking about, because we knew he did this with his dad, But fortunately, they weren't taping, obviously, that day when we were there because the studio was dark. There was nobody there, so we didn't get accosted by anybody that was worried about us seeing prize numbers. Because when we pulled the little reveal things down, there was no numbers on anything, so they weren't set up for a show or anything. But they had prizes out there. You could see stuff they had out there, and it was kind of cool. And it was a little surreal, actually, to think, in just a few years, he would actually be working there. And, then there I am in Bob Barker's dressing room and, meeting him and seeing him all the time and going to the show. I went to the show all the time with Rich. And, it was really fun to be there, as a guest of the show. You're treated pretty cool. So it was fun.
I bet. I have found Rich to be singularly focused on The Price is Right. And I'm trying to understand his personality here. What was he like when you first met him?
Dave, I don't think he told me that he wanted to be on The Price is Right like the first night I met him, but certainly by the second date, he shared with me that this was his dream, that he'd been in LA for 10 years already and did, 10 years with CBS Radio on Sunset, and in fact we actually went there too on this vacation. He was showing me everywhere he used to live and everywhere he used to work, and so he told me that I probably shouldn't have came back to Florida, and that's why I want to go back again. I'm going to go back, and this time I'm going to go to school. This was funny. I'm going to go back to school and I'm going to get my meteorology degree. And I'm going to get on the weather, and then once I get on the weather and I get seen in LA, then I'll be able to have a better chance of getting a game show. So this is his method of thinking way back then. And as crazy as it sounds.
He was very calculating even back then, right?
Extremely. You know what? And one thing I'll say about him, he's very goal-oriented. And, if he sets his mind on something, he goes for it. He doesn't stop. He does something every single day to get towards that goal, that whatever he wants to accomplish, he does. And that was one of the traits that I most admired about him, that he was really that driven of a person, because I wasn't so much. And so I respected that a lot out of him. And so to see it all come to fruition, and it was funny, Dave, because actually, once he actually got the job on The Price is Right, you can't believe the number of people that came out of the woodwork calling and congratulating him and actually saying, you always said you were going to do that. You always said you were going to work with Bob Barker on The Price is Right. And it was funny to me because I knew he had told me that, but this is like going back to people he knew from high school, that he had told just everyone he met that this is what he wanted to do. And this was his goal, and he didn't know how he was going to get there, but he wasn't going to stop until he got it. And, It's kind of like he just manifested it. I don't know. It was weird.
Yeah. If you dream it, it'll happen, kind of thing.
Yeah.
I want to talk to you about all the memorabilia that Rich has dragged into your home there. How much stuff from The Price is Right do you really have in your home?
We have a lot. We have a lot more than what I would like to have, but we don't have nearly as much as we did. Thank goodness when we moved from LA. I mean, Dave, at one time we had 3 storage units full of memorabilia. Mostly all Price is Right, set pieces or game pieces or this or that autographed or something from a showcase, or, it was just nuts. He was just nuts with that stuff. I remember the first time Bob Barker came to our house after he got the job, and we bought a condo there in Beverly Hills, and he came to our house one night, and Rich had converted this little, we had quite a few closets in there, and this one walk-in closet he converted into this little makeshift studio for himself, so he could still do voiceover and things on the weekends and when he wasn't working. And he had that studio from top to bottom full of mostly Bob Barker memorabilia. Some Price is Right, but everything was Bob Barker. And so it was fun to see Bob's reaction when he came to our house the first time and he went into the studio, and I was like, look, Bob, you're his mentor, look at all the stuff that he has, in your honor. And Bob, with his dry sense of humor, he looked around and he looked around and he looked up and he looked down and he said, well, there's a spot over there he can still fill. So I laughed so hard.
He did.
Yeah, and Bob was great. He was so good. We loved him so much. He changed our lives, and he was just such an old school gentleman. I mean, we have love and respect for him beyond.
How much more did the move from California to Florida cost you because of Rich's Price is Right collection?
Now that I don't know, because, we made the deal that he was going to get rid of. When we moved from the condo and we bought our house in Sherman Oaks in the Hills, it kind of got out of hand, but we had much more room when we bought our big house, that we moved a lot of stuff into our storage that we had at the house. But then we still had one big one that we were paying for. We paid storage on this stuff for years, Dave. It's like, this is a little nuts. What are we going to do with all this stuff? So he had gotten rid of a lot of it before we moved. So it wasn't too bad. It hurt him to let any of it go, but I was kind of glad to see some of it go.
I'm sure. Another question, has this ever become an issue in your marriage? And when you're mad at him, have you ever threatened to throw anything out from The Price is Right?
Oh, no, I wouldn't do that to him. That would be the worst hurt for him. I wouldn't do that. I'm not like that. I couldn't throw anything of his away. And we don't really argue anyway. We were like really good friends. When we met, we became good friends, I think, before we started a romantic relationship. So we kind of had a lot of respect for each other, before we became a couple. And I think that's a good foundation for any marriage. And so we're pretty steady.
That's nice. A life of crime led to a life of love.
Well, I was good for him. I cleaned up some of that felony behavior.
Yeah.
Good. He seems like he's straightened out pretty well. Christine, you are a delightfully patient person. Thanks for your insight into Rich and his life of crime.
Oh, you're welcome. You're welcome. It's always fun to talk to people.
All right. We'll talk to you later.
All right, Dave. Thanks so much.
All right. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye, Pumpkin.
She hung up on you, right? Bye, Pumpkin. Boom.
Bless her heart.
Sweet person. She is so sweet.
Yeah, she's a doll.
Yeah, that's great, and she's patient.
Yeah, well, I mean, she's proved it. Look, living with me and all this stuff, this obsession, it's just nuts.
I just can't believe you do this a second time. Are you going to do it a third time?
Go break in again?
Yeah.
Wow, that would be the hat trick, wouldn't it?
It would. This would be the time you get caught. Yeah.
Right, and get arrested maybe.
Yeah, let's hope that doesn't happen.
That'd put a nice button on the whole thing, wouldn't it? So, yeah, it's all true. See, I told you. It's just crazy.
Well, you just surprise me every episode at a time of what you'll do. I mean, and she says it in such a patient way, you know.
Just so
about
matter
how
of
she
fact.
puts up with this and all the stuff.
She knew what she was getting into.
Did she?
Well, no, you're right, because we didn't have any of that stuff around when we were dating.
I mean, it seems like you it's not exactly like you eased all this on her, because it was like she said, I think it was the second date, but she wasn't quite sure. Maybe it was the first date.
Could have been the first, could have been the second.
Right.
Yeah. No, it's funny. She's right about, people calling from high school, grade school, oh my God, you always said you were going to work with Bob Barker.
Yep.
So there's something about focus.
Yeah.
There's something about manifesting destiny.
Sure.
I don't know if you believe in it or not, but I'm sure you've done it in your own life, and that thing about, she's right, about being goal oriented. If I get a goal, I'll do something every day that's going to get me toward that. You know what I mean? It's just something I learned a long time ago.
Well, it makes you feel like you're moving. You're not just stagnant.
Right,
you're not just thinking in your mind. You're actually moving in that direction.
Right.
So, yeah.
Tony Robbins, that's where I got that
How
from.
about that?
I took his course back when it was on cassette. I mean, this is early 80s, mid 80s.
Sure.
And if I was going to peel one thing off it and tell people, this was the nugget, it was set a goal, set an attainable goal.
Sure.
Set a couple. Set a massive goal that seems unattainable. Set a couple of goals in between that are attainable. And then do one thing every day that's going to get you toward that massive goal. And he said, you do one thing every day. Send out one letter. Send out, back then, send out one radio air check. Send out something every day. Make one phone call to whoever. And after a week or two, you'll be doing 2 things a day and 3 things a day. And all of a sudden, that timeline of that goal, getting that goal, has shrunk like to here, and boom, and then all of a sudden, the goal's there and you get it. It's crazy. It works.
Yeah, I love it, because it's like goal number 1, break into CBS Television City in Hollywood. Goal number 2, break in a second time to CBS Television City in Hollywood.
Well, let me tell you something about Dad. I don't think getting into CBS was even the goal that day.
Really?
Yeah, no. It was being there in that part of Hollywood, and being at, I think we were at the Grove, or a farmer's market. I don't think the Grove was even built when I was 18. We were a farmer's market, and it was kind of like, you saw that picture of Christine and CBS back there. That's like the back end of CBS. And, I was like, oh, Dad, check it out. That's CBS. That's where they do The Price is Right. And then there were people going in and out, and it was just Dad to figure out, well, wait a minute, maybe we can get in behind these people. We weren't able to, but then he pushed that button and said, hey, my card's not working. And there we were there.
Well, I love it that you use Dad's, tried and true technique.
Yeah.
Card's not working. Like father, like son.
Yeah, well, she said on the phone, she said he ushered me through, and that's true, that turning turnstile gate only takes one person.
I see.
And so I got her in, and then I said, oh no, I have to do this again, and I literally buzzed him again and said, she's through, I need to get through. And the guy hit it again, and so now we were both through.
Wow, we know of a flaw in the system.
Yeah, totally.
I mean,
total flaw in the system.
Every fan out there, every podcast.
Do it!
Yeah,
It's up to CBS to fix it.
Oh my goodness!
Right?
Somebody's going to try this.
I'm sure maybe they have. I mean, what are we, 14, 15 episodes in?
Yes.
I'm sure somebody's gone there and tried it now. And
I'm Percy Richfields.
Crazy.
Yeah.
All right. So I promised that we would get to some casting information.
Yeah, let's do that.
Folks seem to like this, Dave. It's a podcast about game shows, and
right.
So there's game shows in production, and so on and so forth.
Yeah.
A game show that I did at one time, Let's Make a Deal, is looking for
made famous
contestants.
By Monty Hall.
Yeah, exactly. And this is the note we got from the casting director.
It says, "Hi, Rich. It's a pleasure to meet you. My name is Carrie, and I'm one of the associate producers with Pittman Casting. Below is additional information about our casting. Would love it if you would be willing to share on any social media and your podcast. We are now casting contestants for their chance to be on the popular game show Let's Make a Deal with host Wayne Brady." Wow, okay, so we're looking to give people their chance to win trips, cars, or cash. As I mentioned previously, we're primarily casting in Southern California, but people that are located nationwide are still welcome to apply for their chance to be on the virtual wall. After receiving an application, we are holding Zoom pre-interviews with contestants We'll meet contestants. We'll meet with one of our producers for 5 minutes, chat about your hobbies, hidden towns, fun facts, and your game show ready energy.
That's what they want.
That's so interesting. Be sure to have applicants mention if any of our specialty episodes would apply to them. Number one, breast cancer survivors, thrivers, adult siblings, Halloween superfans, veterans, Valentine's Day couples, active duty military, nurses. I've attached a flyer below and included the link to the application for you to share. So the application's there. Feel free to reach out with any questions at all. Thank you so much for sharing.
Yeah, so it was very nice of her to write in. They're obviously watching the podcast. I know a lot of production companies are. There's a QR code there on the screen. Let me blow it up for you so you can just hold your phone up to it and scan that real quick. That will get you to the application page for Let's Make a Deal. The folks from... oh boy, we had it on a couple weeks ago. No, your answer is wrong. Get off the stage.
Oh, you mean Weakest Link?
Weakest Link, yes. They reached out. They said they've been hearing from people.
Great.
They want to know if we could mention it again. So Weakest Link is still looking for contestants.
Sure.
And we're happy to pass that information along as well.
And we should, at some point, maybe let people know when there are opportunities to be in the studio audience too.
Yeah, well, I believe that on these same links that you can check off whether you want to be a contestant or an audience member. Things like, since COVID now, Price and Let's Make a Deal only have contestants in the studio. They don't have live studio audiences right now. So
okay, that's good.
Another thing we promised we were going to give you an update on the homemade Rod Roddy jacket.
Yeah, this is David Franciosa. The homemade Rod Roddy sequin jacket project here. Let's take a look at the...
This was the first shot that David sent to us, and you see at the bottom there he had started.
Oh yeah, he had started. It was looking good.
To work on the jacket. Here's where he's at on the second photo. He's working his way up the jacket. He was telling me online that it was difficult to get the sequins.
I bet.
Here's third. This is how far he's up to now. So,
oh my gosh!
You can see. I mean, he's doing a really good.
David's an artist.
He's doing a really good job.
I don't know if it'll. I mean, I have worn one of Rod Roddy's jackets, and they're incredibly heavy. I mean, it's just with all the sequins on them and everything else.
Yeah. I can only imagine. I think he told me that he was waiting for more sequin. If it wasn't David, it was somebody else. We're waiting for sequins from Thailand. They couldn't find it in the States, and that's funny because that's where Rod used to go to get these jackets. He went to Thailand. Yes.
He went there?
He literally went there. Well, it was his favorite vacation place.
Okay. Yeah.
So when Price was on hiatus, Rod would go to Thailand. Number one, to just relax. The dollar goes very far. You can eat like a king for like 30 cents. You know what I mean? And then you can tip a quarter, and it's like giving him a $100 bill. At least it was back then in the stories I've heard. So that's where he got them. Remember we were reading the inside label of the jacket by Song 2 or whoever from Thailand. That's a little update on that. Let's see. Do we have some questions? It looks fantastic.
Very nice job.
Really good. We do have some viewer questions.
Okay. Here's one for Dave, the dude. Do you have any favorite models from Price is Right? You know what? The originals, I'm thinking Janice, Holly, Diane.
Yeah, absolutely.
Those kind of models.
You got to go with them.
I think we all watched them.
Brandy Sherwood, I would have to throw her in there. Rachel Reynolds. For favorites, I think I'd probably top five. I'd stop there.
Yeah.
Well, Kathleen Bradley.
Yeah. I mean, it's kind of amazing to me how little by comparison they made. It's kind of shocking.
Right. I'd be curious to know, if and when we get girls like Kathleen on or somebody else from the day, I'd be curious to know what their pay was.
Sure.
I think when I got there in 2004, and one of the girls can chime in online and correct me if I'm wrong, but I think somebody told me, Brandy, Rachel, somebody, that they were getting $500 a show when I got there in 2004.
Wow. Yeah. I mean, it's a lot. That sounds like a lot of money, and is a lot of money for a lot of folks out there. But by comparison, when you look at, certainly how much Bob Barker was making and others perhaps.
Yeah.
It was pretty small.
Yeah. So you're making $3,000 for a 3-day shoot. 6 shows.
Right.
Not bad for a young girl.
Sure.
Living on her own in Hollywood.
Right.
But I believe the after minimum went up for that kind of.
I see.
And you know about that kind of stuff. Whether it's a syndicated show is one rate. Whether if it's a network show, you want a network show. That's where the big money comes in. If it's a daily, a weekly, so daily network. I think the rate went up to $800 a show before I left, and I believe it's gone up since then. So they may be making about $1,000 a show now.
Gotcha. So after is the American Federation of Television and Radio Artists. It's a union that that a lot of folks in Hollywood and a lot of folks in TV news belong to, and
you have to work.
You have to work in a lot of places if it's a union shop. So, well, okay. So we have another question.
This was an observation, not really a question.
Okay. The observation is Rod Roddy, announcer prior to Rich, also has a story of meeting Johnny Olson.
That I didn't know.
Huh.
I didn't know Rod met Johnny prior to ever being the announcer.
Rod Roddy also has a story. Oh, wow. Meeting Johnny Olson at Price is Right taping. So wild that both Rod and Rich met Johnny at Price is Right looking for advice. So wild that Johnny met his next two replacements without knowing it. That is pretty crazy.
Is that nuts or what?
Yeah.
So he ends up passing away there.
Right.
And he's met both guys that are going to succeed
crazy,
him.
Yeah.
That's just nuts. I had no idea. I never met Rod. I never met Rod, never would talk to him, or I would have gotten every story out of him I ever could have. But that's just wild to me.
Who was it when you were there when you were 18 years old and broke in?
Johnny.
That was Johnny.
That was Johnny. So I met Johnny. Johnny called me. Did I tell you, Johnny? He called me up on stage. Remember?
Oh, I do.
Pardon me.
How could I not? You were supposed to be sequestered somewhere,
and I'm jumping out of my seat.
Oh, come on! I can only
I can only imagine Roger and Kathy knowing that these are the two that just broke in. Now the kid's running on down to meet
the
Johnny.
guy has a microphone now. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Just nuts. And by the way, the question that the person that sent you the question, Dave, your favorite, Jason Kelly. Jason is a longtime viewer.
Oh, look at that! I love it.
And somewhat of an artist. And Jason sent this in. This was some cartoon artwork he did of me at the podium.
I like that a lot.
Yeah, come on down, Jason.
When did he do this?
When? I'm not sure. Can I read the date? 4/13/2009.
2009.
19.
Okay. Yeah.
Jason, you can fill in the
blanks for us. I love that. He's got the part just right. He's got the hair right.
Got the headphones on.
There's a certain Dolly-esque quality to this.
Yeah, and
Dolly.
I kind of dig that.
Kind of surreal. It's cool. I like that.
So,
is he an artist?
I would say yes. I don't know what he does for a living, but I mean, looking at that, I'd say yes. He has artistic ability. Absolutely, he's got the goods and daisies back there. I mentioned on a show, watch fans are gonna do some painting of you, the dude. I guarantee it. So it's out there, and I'm sure somebody's working on it.
Great, I can't wait to see it. Yeah,
great. Yeah. Dave says can't wait to see it.
No, I mean that sincerely. I really can't wait to see it. This has been fun.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun, man. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, and having Christine on. I was hoping we might get her on one of these days.
Yeah, she's a little camera shy. So,
is she?
So yeah, appearing on camera.
She did great.
She's fantastic. Yeah. She's really good talker. I mean, she's a smart businesswoman and everything, and she's taking care of all of my affairs. So, really, really cool chick. I tell you what.
Yeah.
Anything else? Did you want to cover?
Well, maybe we should remind people how you listen to this.
Oh, absolutely. Okay. Please do.
So,
that's one thing I always
Spotify,
forget.
Apple Music. You can see some of the photos and videos that we show on this podcast.
Yeah.
Mentioned on this episode.
It's much better to watch the video podcast.
Yeah, it's interesting because you see everything else in the memorabilia, the ridiculous amount of stuff that you have.
Too many pictures to post on Facebook.
Okay.
I can't post them all.
Right, but you can go to our Facebook page, facebook.com/ComeOnDownPodcast. Right. Our 10 Tampa Bay YouTube page. Keep in mind, you can go to YouTube, watch this video podcast, and that's a great place to see it. Just go to YouTube and search 10 Tampa Bay. That's 10 Tampa Bay. And that is a great chance to see all the stuff we show on this.
Yeah, all the episodes are always posted there, so yeah, it's a good time. And keep the questions coming. Sorry we didn't have more time for more questions today, but nonetheless, it is what it is.
Yep, we will get to more of them later, of course, and we love the interaction. So thank you guys. It's a lot of fun for us. I'm still learning all this. Rich at times is forgetting some of this, so you guys are at home are correcting us, which is really important.
Yeah, because when we talk about stuff, sometimes I haven't talked about it in ages.
I know, it just like clicks into your brain, right?
And sometimes it's not correct.
But we have confirmed that your story at CBS Television. Yep, we have confirmed that.
Second time.
We had to go to a second source.
I know, you didn't believe me, did you?
Yeah, and an unimpeachable source.
Now you'll believe me the next time, right?
Yeah, I think I will.
Okay,
I think
good.
The third time you break into CBS, so I will remember this. But
Might have to plan that.
that would be fun.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll do a road trip.
Me and you, we should break in.
I'll be the one who gets caught. You're going to set me up.
I'll scurry away.
Yeah.
I know where to go and hide. Dave will be like, "What? Well, this guy."
And Rich will say, "I'm sorry, worked the first 2 times." Yeah, so, oh well. We appreciate you being with us. Hope to see you next time for another episode of
Come On Down.
Thanks for tuning in to Come On Down with Rich Fields. See more photos and videos mentioned on this episode. Plus, interact with Rich on Facebook at facebook.com/ComeOnDownPodcast or on Twitter at ComeOnDownPod. Have a question for Rich? Use Facebook Messenger to connect on our Come On Down Podcast Facebook page. And remember, new episodes are live every Monday at 3 p.m. Eastern.